Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Broke on advance, you don't even gotta mention. Swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Trade it in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. Whoa, we do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Whoa, Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah, Nicky's. Yeah, OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, yeah, send it to the deck, sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge, look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin and crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the OnChain Hour, and this one is going to be absolutely amazing, guys, because yesterday we were sitting around $76,000 Bitcoin when I started the show. We got up to about $83,000 Bitcoin. Now we're kind of settling down about 81,000. The charts look red on the daily, which is really weird. But we had such a push up yesterday that this is completely normal. It's completely normal to have a little bit of a push back down. Nowhere near where we were yesterday, right? We're still like a good 8-9% in Bitcoin, and other ones are probably like 10%. I mean, Ethereum hit 13,000 on Sunday. Now bounced up to about 1561. This is all good, guys. This is really good. So Trump pausing the tariffs for 90 days. I don't know. My first thought was, damn. Now this is we gotta look forward to this again, right? It's going to happen again. But then it's like it could be different in 90 days, right? We could actually be in quantitative easing. We could have interest rates a little further down. Good things can happen up until that point. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm really excited for. We did get CPI today. We're going to go over that. Magic Eden. Yeah, the Runes guys out there. Very excited about this one. We got some big news from them a little later. We'll get into that. But let's get the show started. A lot to go on. It is Arch Thursday. But without further ado, let's bring in my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's up, man? How are you feeling with the pause? I gave my opinion. I'd love to hear yours.
I feel like it was one of those knee-jerk reactions yesterday in a good way, though. We needed something, even if it, we pulled back today, because it was just getting very dire, right? Like a lot of the just sentiment was bad, and then all of a sudden, you feel like the financial markets got a win yesterday, but we'll see if this continues. There's a lot of things coming up. We keep reminding our audience, with about the catalyst, the M2 money supply, QE, those kind of things. But we also hope that some of this stuff with the trade, agreements come into play here in the next couple weeks, right? So The biggest one's obviously going to be trying to iron out something between the U.S. and China, but the other countries seem to be, in the process of ironing stuff out right now, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, was this a pivot or was this actually the plan? I guess that's what everyone's kind of saying right now, right? What do you think?
I mean, I can't tell, right? We're not in the room, but if it could be either, right? But at the end of the day, I think it was the right thing. If it was intentional, could be, a really smart 4D chess move, but if not, it doesn't matter. Like it's been a positive reaction so far. But we also aren't accounting for, like, this played perfectly for the market makers, right? So if you think about it, these centralized exchanges, they had a big liquidity pocket. We talked about it yesterday before the announcement of the pause of that $80,000 pocket, right? And if it hits that, and we were pretty far away from it, I think at the time, maybe like 76,000 or something like that. And all of a sudden the tariff pause happens and bam, it gets there really fast. So, liquidations happened. There's now the pockets get moved. And that's the thing about this market maker and centralized exchange game with perps is that, like, yes, you might liquidate a huge pocket, but it just moves the goalposts, right? Unless you have this, okay, bull market's on, nothing's stopping the price for the next 2 months. That's a different environment. And I think until we get there, each side's going to have wins, right? And yesterday the longs won and the shorts lost, but as you can see, they can do anything. So we're going to see if they're going to try to liquidate some longs in the next couple days.
Yeah, I mean, the exact same thing happened last Wednesday, right? On Liberation Day. So, where the shorts won and the longs lost. So, the market makers are the only ones really making money right now, honestly. Unless you're just amazing and caught both of the the plays from the last two Wednesdays. But yeah. So, yeah, Trump did authorize a 90-day pause on tariffs, but he did raise China's tariff to 125%. Which is pretty nuts. He paused everyone else's extra tariff and then up to China's. What is the play here?
The play is to calm other people in the trade, order, and actually maybe even say, hey, look, it could have been a pivot, but, like, obviously he has a team and they're like, okay, look, this, obviously the markets aren't responding well to this, but some of that probably was expected, maybe not as intense, but at the same time it's like, okay, how can we, our next move be like really strong for us? And it's like, remain tariffs on China and let everybody else know, hey, we're changing the trade order for us. Who wants to kind of court us now, right? So I think some of these other countries like Vietnam, right, they've actually were already kind of replacing China anyways. Like China was not fully, obviously that would have been really hard task to do, but like more for like the high volume. I don't want to say lower quality, but like, getting a better deal with them, right? So Nike started producing more out of Vietnam, maybe like Old Navy, companies like that was like high volume goods, lower price. But now Vietnam could be like, okay, maybe we can take some of this other business, or other countries could say that, right? Or look at it that way. But we're not trade experts, by the way, guys. We're kind of just in this with you guys, going every day with the news, but it just seems like there's opportunities now for some other countries. But at the same time, I think everybody hopes that, we can all get along at the end of the day, because you don't want number one and number two in terms of world powers to not, be cohesive, I think, and being against each other.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be an investor in in crypto, or investor in anything really, you need to understand this stuff, right? At least at a basic level. And I think that's what we'll kind of give you guys here. Very basic, but it's, to me, I mean, I think that, I mean, this news, it needs to be put in everyone's trading strategy at this point, right? Until we kind of get out of this, you need to understand what is happening on a daily basis. So the last thing here, I got a couple more things with this. So European Union pauses tariffs on the U.S. goods for 90 days. Basically the same thing the U.S. did. And then White House economic advisor Hassett says bond market may have contributed to tariff decision, but did not cause a panic. So Hassett here is coming out and saying that, potentially, Trump might have was hoping for the Fed to come in and at least stop selling bonds. But the Fed it seems to be like the only unit of the administration, because technically the Federal Reserve is a part of the administration if Trump likes it or not, but they're the only ones not like going into this plan
as of yet, right? And I also saw something on the timeline about like Trump putting in something about possibly removing the Fed. I don't think that's going to happen. You got to have a lot of things happen for that. But getting on the same page is going to be important, right? But at the same time, the Fed can't just like on a whim be like, okay, whatever you say, because they do have like their responsibilities, right? At the end of the day, a lot of people are calling for them to make a move and help, right? And so we're gonna keep a close eye on that and see where they are the next time he talks, and if we get into a situation to where it's like there's no other choice.
Yeah, 100%. We did have the CPI data today. The White House came out and said inflation is down, jobs are up, the golden age of America is underway. So let's kind of get into those CPI numbers. So U.S. consumer prices unexpectedly fell in March. So the U.S. CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, it measures overall inflation, the average change in price for all consumer goods and services. Estimated was 2.5. The actual was 2.4. And then the U.S. core, it measures underlying inflation, but it removes volatile items like food and energy. So the actual was 2.8 and the estimate was 3. This is the number that everyone is looking at right now. They were projected 3% and it's actually 2.8. So this is obviously without food and energy, which is very volatile. It's hard for them to over month to kind of look at this. But what do you think about the inflation numbers actually coming down here, both of them, the regular CPI and then the core CPI?
I mean, I think we expected it to be at least close, right?
Yeah.
You also have to think about like the panic and stuff. There's been panic for sure the past couple of months with tariffs with Canada and Mexico. So it all kind of puts this overall environment into probably the national consumer saying, okay, let's chill out, let's see what happens. So as much as people are probably, giving this current administration crap for all the chaos, it probably has helped with this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
To where like the Fed has done majority of this job, by the way. You always tell them that, they've done a great job, which they have. But this also kind of, I think, just piles on top of it. Right.
Yeah.
And so the next month is going to be the most interesting in terms of what the numbers are for next month and even the month after that, and how we get through this next 90 days. Because I think, in my opinion, I would want to see like deals starting to get made the next like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So
100%. And then maybe, when we get close to that 90-day mark, 70% of the countries are kind of already have their number, right? They know, there's no need for an adjustment going into that 90-day, which could be really good. It could be a non-event. And then technically tomorrow the markets are forward looking, and this would be something in the past by that point. But we'll see. Moving along here. Okay. So the Fed decision, right, in May, PolyMarket predicts an 80% chance of no change. I'm actually curious in your opinion with this. PolyMarket has just been accurate all the time. 80% chance, I guess you're gonna say no change, right?
Yeah, but PolyMarket can change before then, right? And so I think like a week out is probably going to give us a really good, clear answer. But if it's whatever PolyMarket says, it's pretty much
At
the
that point.
truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it works with PolyMarket right now, right? So, but this is a little bit of a disappointment if this happens, because I think some people expected May to be one of those months that cut, because they still have 3 in the chamber, right?
Yeah.
When are they going to use them?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Well, PolyMarket is actually predicting June. So right now there's a 48% chance of a 25% BIP. So 25.25 cut, a 7% chance of a 50 basis point cut, 43% chance of a no change, and then 2% of a rate increase, which I don't know why people. That's a gamble, complete gamble there. That's a degen move right there. But what do you think in June? So May 5th, I believe, is the next Fed meeting. That is the one they're kind of expecting no change, but we still have 25 days. You're right that this data can change by up to that point, right? We might be able to get closer. So
yeah, especially with this data because it's 2 months out, right? So
yeah,
you know, I think we'll be able to see more of an accurate after the next meeting in May. But eventually, like I said, they have those bullets in their chamber, and we'll see if when they're going to use them. Maybe they're trying to really, you know, get things just really primed for that Q4. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, even if there's no rate cut in May, if he comes out and he says, "Hey, we're stopping all tightening. We're done selling bonds into the market," that's actually a lot bigger, in my opinion, than an actual cut, because now you're done tightening, you're done selling bonds into the market, and potentially, which could add them to be buying bonds in the market. And if they come out and say they're going to start slowly buying bonds in the market, that's QE. Quantitative easing, guys. We're on. We're a game on. Bull run starts. So that's what I'm kind of hoping in May, and I'm hoping for a 50 basis point cut in June.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's also wanting to see how the money supply is going to affect things too.
Yeah.
Right, because that's a big deal. So we'll see.
Yep. Goldman Sachs recedes as a recession prediction after Trump's tariff pause. So Goldman Sachs coming out and basically saying, yeah, no recession. It's crazy how the difference in one day. Yesterday, JP Morgan came out and said, hey, we think there's going to be a recession. And now they're saying no recession. Now Goldman Sachs officially saying they don't think. What are these dudes doing? Obviously, they're bankers, right? Like, why every other day coming out and say recession on, recession on, recession on?
I wouldn't be surprised if like there's this big grand scheme of you know. Okay, let's think about this. So the markets hate uncertainty. We know that, right? So right now there's a lot of chaos that's happening. It's like probably the most uncertain times that I can remember, right? And other than COVID and stuff like that, but it's very similar. Imagine once things start to get stable.
Yeah.
So the first month of stability, like in the news headlines and stuff too, because right now news headlines are killing the stability. Imagine how bullish things will get on that second month of stability. Like, you know, the first month, then people would start looking at it and be like, okay, these things are in place. Things aren't chaotic anymore. I think that's whenever things could go absolutely parabolic. But we got to have like stability. And if we don't get that, it's baby steps, right? We got to start with 2 weeks. Then we got to start with a month, the second month. And then I think during that time period is where things could really start to get bullish in that second month. And hopefully we can achieve that. But sometimes it's hard to even imagine that right now. But you got to imagine that this current administration has a game plan for that because they know what that can do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to wrap everything in a bow right here with this one. So President Trump came out today and he said China wants to make a deal and they're in the process of figuring it out. So let's just say they do come to a deal. Market has to really rebound after that, right? We have to, I mean,
100%.
Bitcoin's back to 85. I mean, there's no more fear in the market if there's a deal done with China.
I don't know about the fear part. I mean, I think there might be a little bit because they just got to believe it. And then, but that would be that first step that I was talking about, right? So then people are, okay, things are kind of back to normal, even better because now there's a better deal in place, but both sides are happy. Now let's go a month without any chaos, right? And then after that, that's when I think like things can get crazy.
Yeah, man. All right, let's get into some good stuff here. China and Russia are settling some trade transactions using Bitcoin. Van Eck says this. This is absolutely insane if this is true. If China and Russia are selling oil from Russia to China using Bitcoin, that means one, China is paying in Bitcoin to buy oil. Let me say that again. China is paying in Bitcoin to buy oil from Russia. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. Like,
yeah. I initially when I hear that, I'm kind of like, is this good? You know, obviously, yes, we hear that, right? And we're like, this is good. But if you think about it, like, what's Russia going to do with that Bitcoin? Most likely they're going to convert that into fiat or whatever they have to do to pay whatever they got to pay, right? Yeah. But the one thing, and so no one does that with gold. So gold can kind of sit there. But the difference is that in Africa, you might find like you could theoretically find $1 trillion worth of gold, like in a huge, like humongous mine or something like that, right? But with Bitcoin, it's always 2,100. So even if they use it, or 21 million, even if they use it in transactions, I think it's okay, because as people, countries take it, they can make that decision. Do we want to hold this because we're in a good season for Bitcoin or what? But like initially, I thought that. I don't know. Is that weird that I thought that?
I mean, I think you're looking a little too far into it. Like, what to me, it's more of a one. China is learning how to use Bitcoin, right? It's two. Russia is securing that Bitcoin, even if it's for a little bit of time. They're learning that loading gold on a boat, driving that boat to Russia, unloading that gold into Russia, isn't is not going to work
No, yeah,
that way.
that was never an
But
option, right?
no, but Bitcoin. 10 minutes and Russia, they put a stamp and they say, okay, go. You got the transaction ID. It's just imagine the Russian people, the Russian government. All right, we got that Bitcoin transaction. Check in the mempool. All right, you're good to go. Like that right there is alone is to me that they're learning how to use it and learning how crypto works, and having to hire people to make sure that it's secure, and having people that are very experienced in crypto do this stuff for them. To me, is enough to make me so bullish on the fact that, dude, this is oil. Oil for the last 30, 40 years was only settled in the dollar. That's it. Like, that was it. Like, every transaction in oil, for the most part, was settled in dollars. And now it's being settled in Bitcoin for countries that are kind of shunned by the United States.
That's the biggest thing. So where does the largest benefit come from this is to now you don't have to worry about the sanctions, right?
Yeah.
And the SWIFT, because now you're doing transactions in Bitcoin. So that's where I think this could be humongous, and this is good for Bitcoin. That's for sure.
This is just the beginning. I think every country eventually, at least oil in Bitcoin. I think it's just gonna be easier, right? It's just gonna be too hard for Saudi Arabia to do the dollar. I know, the dollar, the petrodollar and all that stuff, and we're American, so like we don't want to lose that reserve status, but Bitcoin's the better money. I mean, enough said, right?
So, yeah, no denying that.
This has been something that we've been waiting for a long time. So pro Bitcoin, Paul Atkins officially confirmed as a new SEC chairman. There was the interim chairman for a while there, and now we actually officially have Gary Gensler's replacement. Paul Atkins, he's a Bitcoiner. He has Bitcoin in his portfolio. He understands Bitcoin, right? He understands it. But again, you have to remember, Gary Gensler really understood Bitcoin, right? Gary Gensler taught a class about Bitcoin, right? He said he never held it, but he taught a class at MIT about Bitcoin. So I'm always skeptic, now with the SEC chairman knowing Bitcoin. But there is a bunch of ETFs. A couple new ones just hit the desk. This one here, VanEck submits application for AVAX, and then 21 shares files for spot Dogecoin ETF, right? So we do have, they're holding a bunch of ETF applications, and they actually came out and said that they're waiting for Paul Atkins to come in and approve these. They didn't want to jump the gun and make sure that Paul actually has say in what is going on here, because he is the new SEC chairman. So now that Paul Atkins is here, now that all these applications are sitting on his desk waiting for him to happen, how soon do we get some of these approved?
I'm not sure how soon, but I think we can be assured that they will get through.
6 months?
Maybe. Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair timeline.
Yeah.
The difference between him and Gary Gensler is him coming in, the headlines are crypto friendly. And I believe he stated that he has held Bitcoin, or is holding Bitcoin. And so that's the difference. That's the main difference. Even though both understand it, one is friendly towards it, the other wasn't. And so, but yeah, I do expect them to come through. Maybe maybe quicker than 6 months, but I think that's a fair timeline.
Yeah, I think in 90 days we'll have like 6. I think we'll have Solana, Doge, Cardano, AVAX, XRP, unfortunately, and another one. I think whether that's
BNB,
and then well,
someone had filed for one.
Yeah,
BNB,
they did. Someone did file for one. Yeah, so it could be the 5, it could be the 6. But I think that in 90 days we'll at least have word of these are going to get passed, right? And then in 6 months, I'm 100% sure I'm convinced that in 6 months we'll have some of these passed and trading. So I'm thinking like, November, December area, right? Definitely have some of these things. But does that start a bull market? We saw what the Bitcoin ETF did. We saw what the Ethereum ETF did. Nothing. What do you think this does to the markets here if we get 6 ETFs passed?
I think if they're consecutive, you got to be extremely bullish, right? So if they're like very like back to back to back, and like you said, maybe they've been holding back and they're going to do them in batches, 3 here, 3 in the next month. And yeah, that's got to be bullish for the crypto markets, because now you have institutional money coming in and purchasing these ETFs, right? And by the way, we know that the Ethereum ETF options just got approved, right? So now expect options for these other ETFs. So it's going to be definitely like a game changer, to where you can go to Robinhood or maybe a new crypto trading app to actually take more of a traditional option from a retail standpoint, right? So that's kind of exciting for me, because like I like to gamble a little bit, and taking an option would be fun. Now, we're gonna see like what options are available, and I think at first it'll probably be minimal, like in terms of like the dates you can choose and all that stuff. But in the future, that's just going to get better and better. So
I would take a 1-year option on $6,000 Ethereum.
There you go.
I think that's easy. I think it's easy. Easy
That's
money.
That's what they said a year ago. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we couldn't take options a year ago, so technically, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for having Paul Atkins in there. I hope I'm not disappointed, but I'm definitely excited for potentially getting these things passed. I definitely think they should be traded as an ETF. And my favorite part of it though is when these are live and a company comes and they wrap these in a basket. You put Bitcoin, you put probably like 40% Bitcoin, 10% ETH, 10% Solana, 10% Cardano, 10% XRP, and so on and so on. Just making math work, and then having these potentially a crypto 10, right, and then a crypto 20, and then a crypto 30, potentially crypto 100 one day. It'd be really cool to see.
Yep. Index funds, baby, they're coming.
Yep. All right, let's get to the next thing here. Kraken has partnered with Mastercard to launch a physical debit cards in Europe and the UK. Users will be able to spend crypto at over 150,000 merchants. So we do know that 150 million merchants. Yeah. So we do know that Binance, Coinbase, a lot of these already have these cards, and you're able to designate which one you want to spend. So for instance, we know that Binance, most of its clients use USDC. It was an article, story that we were talking about last week, as the number one currency. But this is huge, right? Kraken users can now, let's just say, you don't want to use your credit card, but like, I have some USD on here. Let me just swipe that at Costco, right? Or wherever.
Kind of like a debit card, right?
I mean, it is a debit card.
Yeah.
So you physical debit cards in Europe and the UK. Yeah.
So I mean, for us that have been in the space, nothing really changes for us much, right? Other than like, okay, what's my balance? What's my USDC balance? What's my stable balance or whatever? But for the people kind of coming over, I don't think it should be a hard transition. They're used to using debit cards anyways. It's like their bank account, but crypto balance.
Well, think about for me, instance, I like to use Cash App, right? And then I get paid in crypto, right? So I have to get that into Bitcoin, send it to Cash App, send it to my bank account. Now I can just send it to the exchange that I'm using. Either just designate it. If I don't want to spend it, I can just leave it in Bitcoin and designate it as the currency of choice of paying for stuff, and then be like, oh, you know what? Let me just pay in Bitcoin for this one. Swipe it, that gets converted to cash, gets sent out. I don't got to do anything. It's just there when I need it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Especially if you feel like something like Bitcoin might be kind of, going up pretty quick or something, and so that like you're not spending that much in terms of fiat at the time, right? So I don't know.
Emergency use only, right? That's what I would consider that. Like, this is only for if things get bad, I lose my debit card, I can't find my phone, I got to pull this out. You know what I mean? It's just emergency uses, but the Bitcoin is always there for you to potentially sell it. So if you need to. All right. Let's get into today's fear and greed. I'm not going to bring up the screen this time, but let me pop this up. So it's pretty wild. I don't even know how I'm going to hint this to you, but I'll try my best. Last month we were at a 24. Last week we were at 25. Yesterday we were at an 18. We're like 100% higher than yesterday's 18, maybe a little bit more than 100%. Honestly, was that
30,
yeah?
38.
So we're a little higher than. Damn, dude, pretty much right on those 39, right there. So, what do you think, man? That's pretty bullish. We're back in. We're in the very late stages of fear. We're about to be out of fear here. What do you think? Can we continue this? Can we get out of the 39s?
Yes, but today's probably going to bring it back a little bit, in my opinion. I do feel like today's pullback is just a typical pullback from a knee jerk reaction yesterday. Which, I mean, I say knee jerk reaction, but like I get why the price did what it did yesterday, but it did kind of, I mean, it just shot. You can see right now the price is correcting a little bit, but in my opinion, I don't feel like this is like now we're just reversing completely where we were, but today's probably going to bring that sentiment back down a little bit. Maybe tomorrow we end up at, tomorrow's score is going to be like 36, something like that, 35 maybe, and depending on how low it goes today. But yeah, so I do think it continues because of those catalysts, as long as the tension doesn't increase, though.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like the tension doesn't increase, because the market is kind of doing this, like, what have you done for me lately, in a very short term. So yesterday was like, oh, you did this for me, like basically removed all the tariffs for everybody else except for China. We'll take it. We'll take that win, even though that's still not the best situation.
Yeah.
But now it's like after yesterday, it's obviously we're starting to see a reset. Now it's going to be like, what's the sentiment now? Okay, let's get some trade deals going. If we get some trade deals going, continue this positivity. If we don't get any trade deals going, tension continually rise between China and the US, then maybe we're not going to be so great here in the next week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. And like, but we've seen this before, right? This is what we experienced over the last 2 days, but it's nothing new. We've seen back over here on March 19th, we saw a push up to about 55, back down, right? Same thing over here. We saw a push up to 49, back down. Can we finally break out of this range we've been holding between 50 and 20? We did break below a little bit, but for the most part, we've been just in this range between, extreme fear and fear.
I'm not going to say yes until like it's it shows me. It's like, give me some conviction. Right now, I don't have that conviction. My conviction is actually that it's going to keep seesawing, right? But that doesn't mean that we go back to that low that we were at on Tuesday, which was 74. If we go back to 76, even 77, to me, that's the seesaw. Okay, we just went back down. We went up. Now we're going back down. So, I'm actually looking at it that way. And if I get into anything spot, I'm actually waiting for it to pull back a little bit more here, honestly.
Yeah, I'm actually in the other camp there. I think we're going to break out of the fear. I think we're going to be in the 50s and 60s next week in the crypto fear and greed. I'm actually really, I just don't see anything on the horizon for at least the next week or so. I mean, we do have PPI tomorrow, which is producer price index, which is B2B. Waiting for that number, but I think if that number is lower, I mean, I think Bitcoin's at 85,000 next week, which means the fear and greed is going to look really good.
Yeah. And if that's the case, if we are back to 85, between 85 and 90,000, if there isn't any chaotic headlines, which that's the thing for me right now, like if I were to bet, like just put like $1,000, I was forced to put it, I would say we're going to have chaotic headlines for the next week, just because like that's been proven to me like the past like 2 months right now. If that doesn't happen, then my conviction grows, and then I say, okay, that M2 money supply catalyst and stuff starting to look even more juicier to me now.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, though, like to me, the chaotic headline is going to have to be insane, because like you've already been hit so many times by chaoticness, right? Like it was by chaos, right? You're kind of getting used to it, right? At this point.
The boy who cried wolf. Man,
well,
I hope
you know what I mean. It's kind of like
I hope it gets like that, because then we just don't believe that he's gonna actually, do it. But did he cry wolf this last time? I feel like he implemented some tariffs,
but then he pulled him back 6 days later.
Yeah,
I mean,
except for China, but yeah.
until that gets pulled back potentially today. I mean, I only see good headlines from him now. He did what he had to do. He tested the waters. It felt like he tested the bond market. He said like, what would happen if I kept my foot on the gas here for a month? You know, he did the 6-day data, times it by 4, and said, oh shit, like bonds are going to go to 0. Like if I don't do this. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I don't think he's going to do that again. I think the worst of 2025. I think the lows of 2025 have happened.
Dude, that's such a great point, because people are just looking at this like, you have the people that are the opposition to him saying he caved, he was weak, and then you have the people that support saying this was a 4D chess move. What about zoom out and don't get your emotions tied to it and say they can use this data now, because they just saw what happened in every single market. What like regions of the world did what? Like Japan sold bonds, note taken. You know what I mean? And all these things. Now you have data to make your decisions moving forward. No one's really looking at it like that. And I think that is actually a really smart way to kind of obviously, you know, going into this, it's hard because, like, you know, the world of trade and like bonds and finance is all tied together. But that point I haven't heard on my timeline on TikTok or anything really. So that's definitely something that his team's looking at.
You got to remember who his team is. They're a bunch of rich billionaire guys who've, you know, their entire net worth is based off data, right? They run companies and they test things at companies. It's like, oh, no, that's not the right thing to do. But they have that data now to where, like, before you can just have just an idea. Like, yeah, I think it'll work. But now you know what to expect if you try to implement this, right? It's really a smart idea. I mean, it's kind of what we do here at OnChain Revolution. We'll just test stuff, right? Oh, that didn't work. We'll test it for a week and be like, all right, you know what I mean? But we will have that data for next time to not make those decisions. And that seems very similar to what they're doing here.
Yeah, and Scott Bessent too. The dude's a beast. He's Secretary of Treasury, and I mean, whether you like the fact that he made a ton of money with you know, the pound, shorting the pound or whatever, like that is kind of the wheelhouse that he's dealing with right now, right? So he knows what he's doing.
100%. All right. Let's get into that Bitcoin price action brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura.finance will be going live on Hemi probably within the next month or so. Let's talk about Hemi for a second. Hemi is actually backed by Binance. So potentially, when you're using Artura.finance, guys, you will be able to potentially get the airdrop of Hemi. I want Hemi. I want it. I want it because it is going to be immediately listed on Binance. I can feel it. I don't know that for sure, but it's a really, really good guess for me. But I can get it for free by playing with Artura.finance when it launches. So definitely highly recommend you guys doing that. You know, it could be very, very beneficial for you guys, man. Airdrop farmers, get in there for sure. But today, you guys can actually go to Artura.finance and play on the Botanix testnet. Doing a trade on Tau, XRP, and ETH can actually earn you a spot into the raffle. Something you definitely want to do, because I think that Artura token, another airdrop potential when you you're farming that Hemi, you're potentially farming the Artura finance airdrop as well. We did hear them say that in a meeting of ours, and that always gets me excited about potential airdrop and farming. But guys, just so you guys know, like, none of this is financial advice. You have to be really smart with your money. Leverage is a tough game, but if you can get good at it, if you can practice on the testnet and kind of learn of what to do and what not to do, you can take that to mainnet and earn Hemi, earn Artura, and potentially earn some Bitcoin as well. So take that with a grain of salt, but it's all out there. It's data, guys, to get that data. But that's it.
Yeah, these guys too, you know, really bullish on what they're building, coming in very, very soon for mainnet. That's their primary focus right now. But I'm going to always ask you guys to help us out every day, because you guys are awesome and you always do. On the YouTube side, if you could smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. And on the X side, guys, please share the space so we can educate, onboard as many people to crypto, help them out, guide, you know, try to guide them. Yeah, that would be great. And then on the abstract side, if you could share the stream, we would greatly appreciate it. But let's get into some Bitcoin price action here. Remove your screen there and bring up mine. So I am going to start off with the hour chart that I always start off with. But it is kind of doing what I said, right? With that pendulum swinging back and forth. And you can see this was that knee-jerk reaction of the tariffs being paused. And we saw some really good positive price action with Bitcoin yesterday. And then overnight, we saw the drip back down, right? So We're going to get into some liquidation levels, and that one that we were talking about yesterday to liquidate a lot of shorts was the $80,000 mark, right? So isn't that convenient that it ended up working out for the market makers there, even though they were going to make it probably work anyways, but it got there a lot quicker, right? So shorts liquidated here, continuation, which typically happens for a little bit. They don't want to make it seem that obvious, right? Gets up a couple thousand above that liquidation pocket, and now we are coming back down. So look, I do still kind of see this correction playing out for the rest of today. I don't, like I said, I don't expect it to get to 74, 75, but who knows? Maybe it does. Sometimes they are hyper aggressive to liquidate the people they sucked in over here, right? So if you did get into a long position and you had enough, I guess, courage and maybe self discipline to get out, anywhere between here and here, which would have been a solid play because you made really good profit. Expecting it to get, the people that did load up on longs here that didn't get out, probably kicking themselves in the butt because now we're sitting here at 79,000 and below the 50-day EMA, right? So, in my opinion, today, the leading indicators don't matter too much because we're just expecting this kind of swing back, right? So we're going to see how far they take it. We're going to take a look at liquidation levels here in a second, but for the hour chart second half of today, we're seeing this downtrend with some choppiness here a bit, but I would expect probably maybe even going down another 1.5 2,000, but we'll see. Maybe they stop it here, maybe they try to get a little bit stable. We'll see. The kind of balance between support and resistance is there. There's a little bit more support in these high, these levels right here at like 79,000, right at 80,000. Some more support here too at 81. So the support definitely in this region from 81.5 to 79.5 is more support than resistance. So, this could get eaten back up a little bit and stay choppy here, consolidate a little bit more, but definitely danger is what I'm seeing. Not anything crazy though. I don't expect us to get back to 74,000, but I could be wrong on that. So that's what I'm seeing for the second half of today. The 4 hour gonna, play off of the 1 hour, of course. We did have that positive price action for the MACD here, got us to that 83.5, but we're starting to see this break down, which makes sense because that's what we're seeing on the hour. Now, it could kind of just keep chopping back and forth, get to 78 tomorrow. We end up getting a little bit more bullish because we see the price action happen like that, quite frequently, to where it's just one day up, one day down, one day up. So we could kind of do that for tomorrow, get to 78 today and back to 81 to 83 tomorrow, but we'll see how the rest of today plays out. So the 4 hours is not going to really give me too much today, except for, it looks like it's breaking down out of that buy pressure from yesterday. So we'll kind of have to see if it plays out the way I think today's going to play out, then we'll probably see this kind of close up and get to maybe a small red candle by the end of the night. But what happens sometimes too, if it is just choppy back and forth day to day, then sell down to that 78, maybe today 78.5, and then throughout the night we bounce back and we'll see. So really the rest of today is going to give us more insight for how we feel going into the weekend. So just to kind of recap what I just said, I think we're going to have probably a little bit more of a sell down today, but nothing super crazy. 78.5. Again, I could be wrong. I was wrong. I think at the end of last week as well, in terms of what I thought we were going to do heading into the weekend. But starting off this week, things were just, it's hard to tell, right? Because things completely changed up yesterday.
Could you zoom in there for a second? I want to see the new green candle, the newest one.
On which chart?
Yeah, well, the chart you had. Okay, so we did pass the second line there. Oh no, this isn't the same chart you showed. Was it?
Oh, so yeah, this was the one I just went over, but this is the hour chart.
Okay.
Were you looking at this one?
Yeah, well, you had the one where it just touched that bottom purple line. I think that was the Bitcoin chart. Yeah, this one right here. Did you zoom in up top?
Yeah, so this is the weekly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So so this is kind of like, remember I told you the danger, the danger area would be for us to
bounce off that line.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday was a big help for the weekly chart. You know,
Yeah.
you know, like when you're playing like a game or something, like football video game or something, you're
Yeah.
down by like 3 touchdowns, but you still have like 1.5 quarters left, and that's kind of how I felt yesterday. Even though I didn't think we were gonna lose the game on the weekly chart, but like you need an interception and you get it, you
Yeah.
get a pick six, and you're like, I'm back in the game. That's what was yesterday. The pick six was yesterday for the weekly chart, in my opinion, because what it did was it brought us from down here all the way, which was that 74.9 back to 78, right? And again, I will bring this up every day until we get out of this channel, but coming from an uptrend and finishing a candle below the 50-day EMA was January 2022, which was pretty much the start of the bear market last cycle. Now, I don't think we're going to do that. I think we bounce out of here, but we'll probably get scared, a scare here or there. And I think that's kind of where we were. It's really breaking down below this. Even if the candle gets eaten up, just being below this at all, any part of the week for the weekly candle is nerve wracking. But, again, we did have this really strong bounce back, and you can see we're starting to show some weakness here, but we need to have strength overall. And we're already at 79. So that kind of pendulum swinging back and forth is happening. Like I said, it would, but I think we're okay still here, and I don't think we're gonna finish a candle below the 50-day EMA until maybe after this year. I know that's a far timeline to say, but if we do get close to it, then my mind might change. But that's what I'm seeing for Bitcoin, guys, all the way to the weekly. We're still safe here. And then the others chart, which is everything outside of the top 10 in crypto and Bitcoin, we have this bounce back here too. So this is looking actually pretty decent from considering where we were. If we can continue this momentum up, we can get back into that 50-day EMA channel for the others chart, and I think we're okay here. Unless Bitcoin really breaks down, I think we're going to be fine here. And what is this last one? Oh, so this one is the liquidation chart provided by Marty Party, really good on-chain data guy. So like I was saying yesterday, the goalposts always move once there's a big liquidation, and we saw that short liquidation at that $80,000 mark. So now the next level is 86,000 to liquidate some good number of shorts, and for the longs, a 72.1 is kind of there, but it doesn't seem that heavy here. So maybe this bringing it down here will suck in some more shorts a little bit, right? And then we reverse tomorrow after we get to maybe like 78.5. We start reversing later today, and then maybe we go after this liquidation pocket. But I never count the market makers out to surprise us at all. And I do want to look at the Ethereum. Here's the Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum levels to liquidate the shorts. There's this short liquidation pocket here at 1880, and then the longs are at 1359. So this was at 1400 though, just the other day, and it hit.
Yeah,
it hit 1400 to liquidate longs. Then it went up, and I don't know what this number was yesterday, but I don't think it got the shorts because it just seems like too far out here. So we shall see, man.
Yeah, man. Great job on that, dude. Yeah, really, really curious to see what happens. I think this week and this weekend is gonna be very sideways, but I think I see some upward momentum starting next week for sure. So, but yeah, man, let's kind of get into that roll call here. Every day we like to just shout out the people in the comments, and guys, it really helps us if you guys start popping in those comments, man. It will really help the show. But we got a lot of people in here today. We got my man Lackey Lukey. First is first. Let me show the first is first chart. You won again, my friend. Got your 9th win of the year. Congratulations to you. Your last win was just 2 days ago, and so you 3 wins this week, bro. Lackey Lukey is phenomenally killing it right now. Shout out to you. Danny got one this week as well. So that's it. Lackey Lukey and Danny are fighting for the #1 spot, bro. Danny's 1 right now. Webdro is 2, and Lackey Lukey's right there at 3. ASAP Benji is in there at 4. So we are giving away 3 prizes. So even 3rd place is worth fighting for, guys. But if you guys don't know what this is, we just take the first comment every single day and we pop it on this chart. And then how many times you won this year, going all the way back to January 1st, where Mike's World was first. But shout out to every single one of you guys, man, who makes roll call and gets on this list. Some really awesome people on this list, man. But let's kind of get into the rest of the roll call here. We got Danny Boy coming right in 3 minutes later. Shout out to Danny Boy. Mats was right there on it. Webdro, of course, was on it. Nighthawk was on it, man. Let's see. Glasshopper was right there. Shout out to you guys. Ordinals Chips with a comment. He says, Donald Trump loves OnChain Revolution and Ordinals Hydra Corp. I don't know what Ordinals Hydra Corp is. I'm guessing it's your company. Shout out to you, my friend. Mempool Punk is here. Steamy J is here. Pelpa is here like every single day. So Yo Legends, what's up, man? So somebody's here that hasn't been here for a while. It's Vision of Tomo. Shout out to Vision of Tomo, man. He's like, keep on hustling, boys. Love your work. Thank you, my friend. It's been a long time, man. Long time. Appreciate you. Super fan every single day, man. Really appreciate you with a GM. Malam Yuri every single day. Only believe Trump long term. That's probably true. Austin Gray is here. GM. Shout out to every single one of you guys who makes comments every single day. We appreciate you guys, man. We got to figure out a way to get these comments up, guys. Come on, please help us out. Get some comments in here, get some likes and all that stuff. Appreciate you guys. But let's hop into the story of today, which is the biggest news. Something you actually told me about yesterday. Magic Eden has acquired crypto trading app Slingshot as part of a strategy to expand beyond NFTs. Wow. And then Slingshot had a tweet this morning. They said, calling all Bitcoin meme coins. We're in the final stages of building and testing support on Slingshot. We'd love to get you involved in our campaign. Slingshot also changed the front page of their website at slingshot.app, and it's now showing the ME token of buying ME, $100. So this is pretty new there, but shout out to Magic Eden, man. How big is this for not only Magic Eden, but the Bitcoin meme coins?
I think it's big for both, but I think they took their time to figure out what would be the best solution to increase liquidity substantially for runes, and make it easier for normies to onboard to Bitcoin meme coins. And I think this is their solution they came up with, right? And so we're going to find out really soon, because Slingshot has been teasing, bringing on runes, but their original strategy, I think, was to bring on the runes that had already bridged over to Solana using the Solana contract. And I understand that. But what they're doing now is with Magic Eden acquiring it, is they're actually incorporating the chain entirely, the Bitcoin chain entirely now. So this is going to be game changing, hopefully. And hopefully this is like that big major solution, because I've been talking about this for a while, that Magic Eden, in my opinion, has the capital to be able to make that big move to change the perception of runes and how easy and UI, all that stuff. And with Slingshot, you can use credit card, debit card, you can use PayPal, you can use it's the easiest way to. So think Robinhood, in my opinion, but for crypto. And we know that Magic Eden has a big part of the Bitcoin ecosystem, so this could be huge.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious, how much did Magic Eden pay for Slingshot? What do you think it was? What would your guess be?
It's hard to tell, but I mean, I think if it was under 100 million, then that would seem cheap to me, because they do have a huge user base and a large community. The one thing I will say though now is kind of okay, let's say that this becomes a success, right? Strategy for Bitcoin and runes. Now you got Moonshot, not Moonshot the meme coin launchpad, but Moonshot the onboarding app, which is 2 separate things, but both are extremely successful. It's great. You don't really see that. Same name, both things are successful, but 2 totally different products. But you have them, and then you have another one called Vector that's very similar to Slingshot, and I think that they will quickly onboard runes if they see that Slingshot has success here.
Yeah, 100%. And it says the Pacific's financial details of Magic Eden's acquisition of crypto trading app Slingshot has not been publicly disclosed, but Slingshot had previously raised $33 million in funding from investors such as Coinbase Ventures, Ribbit Capital, and Electric Capital. The valuation was $1.6 billion in 2022. So I'm just curious. 1.6 billion is I think Slingshot has had potential even before this acquisition from Magic Eden to be a $10 billion project, right? Do you think the sellers of Slingshot are going to hate themselves in a couple of years? Because I think so. I think that selling now you had a good product.
Well, it depends on how much they sold it for, though, right? And also, we don't know the founders specifically.
Yeah.
What's their age? Like, let's say that one
Yeah.
of them's like 55, and he's just kind of like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna take $80 million out of my cut.
I mean,
And
1.6 billion potentially,
or whatever, right? And so, but like out of the cut, like, yeah, I mean, it would be more than that still.
Yeah.
But, the big thing that you said to me is Coinbase Ventures was original. So that transition's over, right?
Yeah.
So now Coinbase is rooting for Magic Eden.
Yeah.
So this is huge. Now, was Binance Labs in there too, or did you
Nope.
would they not? Okay, so doesn't matter though, because now Coinbase Ventures is rooting for the huge success of Slingshot. To me, huge.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be like, depending on how much they invested in them, but
33 million.
But it was split up, wasn't it? Between all
between
those
the three of them, yeah. Between Coinbase, Ribbit, and Electric.
10 point something, right? Or
Yeah.
11 million. And so $11 million, not anything to sneeze at, but nothing huge,
No.
right? Not an acquisition, but enough to where they say, okay, this 11 million could turn into something really big.
Yeah.
This could be huge because like all the other Coinbase investments outside of core, because I don't know what they actually put into core, but like the other stuff in the Bitcoin ecosystem has been six figures here, maybe $1 million there. But this, 11 million is the biggest one that I know of, but I'm pretty sure they put more into core than this, but who knows? I don't know the details.
Well, I'm gonna check it right now. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, how much did Coinbase Ventures put into core? And it said Coinbase Ventures has invested in numerous projects, companies such as Core, but it's not publicly disclosed, which is weird, right? So, which basically means that Coinbase might own like an equity or be even a part of them internally. So, it's a big deal as well. So I'm definitely bullish on Core. But going back to Magic Eden here, Magic Eden already has a token, right? So Slingshot potentially was going to have a token. Do you think Slingshot stays as a secondary company? Or do you think they're going to bring it all under Magic Eden umbrella?
I mean, under the umbrella, but like, they're going to keep their branding going as is, right? Like an individual branding. In my opinion, that's the best way to go because, they already have a brand. You don't have to restart or anything like that. No. And so you just continue that and that people will just know in the back of their heads in the industry, that's Magic Eden acquired them, that kind of thing, which makes it more bullish because now they have like even more backing and all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Do you think potentially using Slingshot to, let's just say, buy runes could get you an airdrop? We do know Magic Eden already airdropped the ME token. Do you think maybe using Slingshot could get you an airdrop of the Slingshot
separately, 100%. I'm not saying 100% is going to happen. 100% that's a possibility because again, even though they acquired it, they own it, they still want that brand to kind of be able to stand on its own leg. And now people are gonna, so I think it's gonna be interesting to see like normies, because that Slingshot was created to onboard normies. So if normies start to hear, hey, look, if you use Slingshot, you can get an airdrop, and airdrops in crypto could be huge depending on how much you use it. This is an example. This is an example. That I think that's just another incentive for normies to come on and say, wow, I could actually learn something from this.
Yeah, and to your point, the Trump token dropped. Slingshot was like the fifth the DApp behind Phantom Wallet to actually be downloaded during that weekend because people weren't able to buy it from exchanges, right? So people were having to go places like Moonshot and Pump Fun and places like that. Especially normies were buying Slingshot because they could pay with their credit card. Right. So Slingshot, if we ever see a meme coin frenzy like that again, where it came out of nowhere, it's not on exchanges. I mean, Slingshot is definitely something in the definitely on people's phones right now, as just in case I need this, right? And just in case I can't buy it from Coinbase, I can go over to Slingshot. And because Slingshot's what, base it's Bitcoin
Almost
now,
everything.
it's Solana, it's BNB, right? It's
Abstract.
everywhere. So
Abstract.
it's abstract too. So it's huge, man. It's absolutely huge, and amazing acquisition from Magic Eden and Slingshot. So I'm curious, and I'm probably gonna ask Nick this later, but if Magic Eden reached out to to Arch about building on potentially Arch, how cool would that be if Magic Eden ends up building on Arch and Slingshot
Well,
is
it would be,
available? You know, like that would be huge.
Yeah, it's just basically
But
integrating it, right? And then so we'll see though soon, because I think there's
yeah.
some news maybe about some stuff happening. We'll see.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. It is Thursday, and every Thursday around 12 p.m., we do a segment called Arch Thursday. So Arch is building something really special. If you don't know, Arch is building a Rust-based model, which think when you think of Rust, think Solana, think some of the other ones, Aptos and Sui use a Rust-based model as well. Think that model on top of Bitcoin, right? Running a chain on top of Bitcoin, running and actually finalizing its transactions on Bitcoin. So every 10 minutes or Bitcoin block, you will see a bunch of rolled up Arch transactions being placed on Bitcoin. So when you go buy that puppet, you don't have to wait right away. You can actually go take a loan out on it right away in that same Bitcoin block. So that's what Arch is bringing us. They're bringing us that fast-paced environment on the number one chain in the world, which is Bitcoin, on a chain that has $1.8 trillion in liquidity, potentially, if some of those tokens aren't lost. It's actually really awesome, and we're so glad to bring these guys to you every single Thursday. So without further ado, let's bring up Nick. Nick, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. How you doing?
Awesome. Great. Dude, I'm doing great. It's been a crazy busy week, lots of fun stuff. You guys may have noticed we've been publishing a lot of great content on some of the really cool technical unlocks lately, and those have been killing it. Like we've done, I'm the marketing guy, right? So like I see like all the numbers and stuff, and we've got like such nerdy topics like cross-program invocation on Bitcoin. 14,000 impressions, and I got posted yesterday, right? And we've got where's some of the other good stuff we have? Yeah, it's just been really fun kind of getting into the nitty gritty of what makes ours different, some of the technical stuff. And we've done some stuff on CPI, we've done stuff on Frost and Roast, we've done some stuff on the Arch rollback mechanism. So if you want to get like technical and nerdy with me, that stuff has been a lot of fun, and the community's been loving it. But we also have some big news this week too, and so a combination of that, and then also you guys might have seen, but DPI venture fund has basically exclusively said, "Hey, look, like we're gonna fund early stage projects on Arch," and to kind of make it clear why this is really powerful, or why this is out of the ordinary. Very few funds, will take one big bet on one big ecosystem, right? And this is something where Arch, basically, if you're making your bet on Bitcoin, DPI believes you should be making on Arch, right? And that's pretty exciting to see. And it also means for our projects, especially new projects that might be building with us, that means that we have a chance to direct some funding toward you and kind of, give you that white glove experience. So it's been super exciting week, and happy to answer your questions and to touch base, because always love chatting to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations, because that is a huge accomplishment, for them to have that much conviction. And then, like you mentioned, runway is the biggest deterrent of like a startup continuing, right? And so being able to help some of these pillar protocols that are going to be crucial for the infrastructure ecosystem of Arch, and having that support is huge. So congrats for that. You guys definitely deserve it.
Others, really pay off when they made bets like this. Multicoin, made a big bet in Solana early on, and of course they've done very well with that. Multicoin, of course, led our seed round. So sometimes they will venture out to other ecos too, but DPI has kind of decided, hey, we're going to be like the multicoin for Bitcoin and specifically for Arch. So super exciting.
Love that. Is there going to be kind of like this incubator like program that develops out of this that you guys are putting together with them in the background?
Background is the right way to phrase it, because we've kind of got all the pieces together and we're starting those conversations, but we haven't officially released it. You can expect that in the coming weeks, so pretty soon, I'd say. So that's really exciting. And that way we can spell it out for people like, hey, like here the types of projects we're most interested in, hear like ways you can get involved. And just as some alpha for your crew here, if anyone here is watching as a builder, developer, especially if you have Rust experience or building on Solana, you know, I can kind of give you some tea on the types of projects we're looking to support. Obviously, like, you know, we're looking to fund like the core primitives are going to support functioning DeFi ecosystem in Arch. We have a great DEX with Saturn. We have a great meme coin launchpad and you know, AMM with FunkyBit. So we already have some of those pillars, but you know, really like core DeFi primitives. If you're building a DeFi app, if you have some experience building before, you have a good team, and you're really looking for obviously, you know, Bitcoin native experiences, we're definitely interested in talking to you. We've got some stablecoin ideas that we're looking to get great founders for. We've got some great, you know, perps DEX type stuff. I mean, really just across the board. So looking to support those projects. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, you guys have VoltFi, you have Hamilton, you have, you know, Cha-Ching. I mean, so many amazing projects are building on you guys, man. It seems like every week there's new ones. Not to mention all the other people that you guys had on the show over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, so I'm just curious, like, what's the process? Let's just say I have a DeFi project, I'm building Solana, I'm not getting much traction. What do I got to do to potentially build on Arch?
Yeah, and that's a really good use case because, you know, I think I told you guys in past episodes, but when I came on as CMO like almost a year ago now and wrote the white paper and we did our first outreach and we had a BD plan, and, you know, we were still figuring out, hey, who is like the best builder on Arch? Because we want to serve people who we can really help and also who are really well suited to have like the easiest experience integrating, or maybe not the easiest all the time, but at least the most like congruent, right? And so people who are building in Solana, it works very well because of also Rust-based, you know, certain key concepts like cross-program invocation, like some of the other things we do, you know, those are very Solana-based. And, you know, we've created essentially our own custom VM that's UTXO-based and converts to UTXOs, but it is like a Solana fork in many ways too. So people who are from the Solana ecosystem, you know, the great thing is, yeah, like, you know, there's some great builders over there and we've seen that firsthand. The challenging thing, like you kind of mentioned, is that some of them, you know, it's hard to get traction. It's already a built ecosystem, you know, outside of like the top 3 or 5 apps on Solana, like how many can you really name, right? The giants kind of dominate that. And, you know, the builders who are going to take a chance on a newer network, like what Arch is doing, you know, they need to understand like the play here is that, you know, the Bitcoin upside, right? And so as far as how easy is it to build on Arch, with a Solana background, it's pretty easy. You know, we have like a doc book out there. You know, you can play around with it. You know, most of it, if you're familiar with native Rust, like you can port it over, and then you just have to kind of add these little things that allow it to be compatible with UTXOs. And so there's certain coding snippets, certain structures that you have to add to it as well. So those are probably the biggest things. And then I'd also say this, which is that the challenge of building the Bitcoin ecosystem is not even always the direct code, but it's like, what infrastructure do we have in place? So what kind of indexers do we have in place? What kind of RPC calls can you do? Like, you know, all these things, right? And so Saturn, actually, the Saturn DEX has done a great job pioneering some great infrastructure. They recently released the Titan indexer, of course, which allows for some really cool things, including indexing on the mempool level, which to my knowledge wasn't available before. So that's super cool. And then also, you know, we've got, you know, Maestro, who's done some really good stuff as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got some amazing builders. I forgot about Maestro on the top of my head, right? They're kind of like your chain link, right? So that's absolutely huge for you guys to have someone like them who has you know, UTXO experience with Cardano, coming over here now, messing with this Rust-based model, which is awesome. And you have to remember too, going back to my point, you know, Solana, I mean, Aptos and Sui, I mean, you know, a lot of that stuff over there, I mean, they're the move language, which is a Rust-based model as well, right? That's a little different than what you guys have there, but it's really similar to exactly the same thing as Solana, and kind of bringing that over as well. So if you're on Aptos or you're on Sui and you're not getting much traction as well, you can potentially come over here. Have you guys had any Aptos or Sui builders reach out to you guys?
Yeah, and I'm not always involved in the BD side, so I don't know how many, right? But definitely, you know, talk to a few, especially from Aptos, I think. But haven't had a ton of projects I've ported over. Most of them so far have been Solana projects, and then of course, like people who were already building on Bitcoin, interest in Bitcoin, and all that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I froze forever, but I had to restart real quick. But you made a really good a comment that just stuck in my brain, because a lot of people have been, asking why haven't centralized exchanges listed runes and stuff like that. Your comment is that when you're building on Arch and the Bitcoin ecosystem, like that, as a builder, you have to consider the indexers and stuff like that. And that's what me and Shizzy think is what's holding back like Coinbase and Binance, is they don't want to set up a team of support for that and all that stuff. But what Arch can typically do with its launch is solidify the indexers and give more credibility to them. Because if Arch becomes this huge like gauntlet of a ecosystem, then they'll say, okay, well this whole chain or this whole network relies on these indexers. That's the green light. Am I coming up with something here, or am I off, do you think?
No, I think that's a very valid point. It's funny because we talk about the Bitcoin ecosystem, right? And it's really it's not an ecosystem to this point, right? It's a disparate floating islands, right? Not through anyone's fault. Like you've got runes and ordinals communities for sure, but like I'm talking about like actual apps, right? So like in other ecosystems, you have apps that are working together, composability, like. But you've got this Bitcoin ecosystem where if you're building natively on Bitcoin, there is no composability. Right? There is no way for apps to interact in a seamless and quick way with each other, to flow liquidity, and also to create the kind of like shared understanding indexers, things like that. I guess that's what like a runes protocol or but like you don't have these apps that can really speak to each other, right? And so what you actually need is to build that programmability part, the execution platform, which is what Arch is trying to be. So that you can have an ecosystem of apps, because once you do have an ecosystem, then you can have standardization of index or standardization of technology that allows everything to work together, right? And so you can kind of see it as like early days, like no one had created the boats to go in between the islands. You have all these islands, there's no trade between them, they're just very isolated. Once we have an ecosystem of Bitcoin that actually has composability and the ability to communicate and trade across borders of apps and things like that, then you can talk about, okay, these bigger players like institutional capital, like the Binance of the world and centralized exchanges actually coming in and being like, okay, we can hang our flag on that. DPI, the venture fund I mentioned earlier, for those of us who joined later, but DPI is making the bet that we are going to be that composable app layer platform that brings together the Bitcoin apps, brings in liquidity and brings in composability. And so they're making that bet earlier than like, someone else might. But I think Shizzy, you were talking about maybe like, would Magic Eden work on us and things like that. It's like, yeah, they're doing the same thing that a lot of these like, larger platforms are doing, which is they're sort of waiting to see who emerges out of this Bitcoin eco. It's safe to say that the L2s aren't going to win. You just don't see any traction demand. You don't even see good performance. The whole idea is supposed to be performance, and Botanics is slow as hell, right? So, sorry for the stray Botanics, but anyway, point is
Botanics just caught a stray for no reason. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm messing around. I'm messing around.
The proof is the pudding. The proof is the pudding, right? And it's slow right now, right? And so, you've got Stacks, which has never fully been able to, get to that next stage. And so, I've actually been talking to a lot of Bitcoin eco investors, and because we're working with DPI, but we're also working to get funding for our apps, and none of them are interested in these L2 plays because it's just very clear that there isn't a winning strategy there. Meanwhile, you have meta protocols that may have isolated success, but their potential is limited, right? So like something like Odin, great success story, I think, in many ways for what it's been able to do and showcase definitely the interest in these kinds of apps, but it's severely limited and it hasn't been able to push forward to like AMMs and be able to do things where you can actually graduate your tokens into runes easily, right? And that is going to be the next step, but it still isn't going to have that composability. So the question is like, for investors, like it's very scary environment. They want to invest in Bitcoin apps. They believe in the thesis. It's a differentiated thesis, but like, do you put all your eggs in a single app? Like, no, they kind of need to see a winner emerge a little bit. And I think what you're going to see with the proof points that the apps are building us, with the venture support we're getting, with some of the announcements coming up in the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of signal just showing that Arch is positioned and primed for that, which is fun because I'm here. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So with the with the VC DPI capital coming in, we're seeing a lot of VCs like really kind of making moves right now. Just the past week, we see Sats Terminal. They had Coinbase Ventures and Draper Labs. Now with you guys and DPI, I mean, it's starting to really look like something is happening here. Something is brewing. Something is going to be coming from this ecosystem, whether it's Arch or somewhere else. But how do you feel about the VCs kind of really sticking their nose in here? And I'm just curious if you heard anything about VCs potentially taking on some of your projects, whether that's Saturn or Ching or so on and so on, about coming in even further than just going after Arch.
I think people know that we've been raising a Series A, and I still can't say who it is or announce it today. It'll happen soon, but it is closed, and we had so much demand. I mean, oversubscribed, lots of interest, and so we had to be very strategic about the investors we brought on, because you can only give out so much. But I would say because of that, it created a real opportunity, and that's how we started the conversation with DPI. Is like they had come a little bit late to the game in terms of being able to join our round, but lots of opportunity in Arch beta plays,
Yeah.
And for the average person who isn't an investor and is thinking about this, you can be an investor through like tokens and things like that, right? So like if you're like bullish on Arch, maybe you can't get in right now at the investor round or whatever, but when we do launch a token to decentralize the network, there's that. But I was even going to say like our beta plays are really cool. FunkyBit's doing some really interesting things. A lot of people have been on testnet getting FunkyBits, which should be good. And also FunkyBit has some stuff in store that I really can't. I'm like so close to wanting to, but like we'll announce it in all due time.
Just do it.
Yeah. All I'll say is pay attention, because FunkyBit's about to rock Bitcoin. That's all I can really say is that FunkyBit's about to make Bitcoin so fun, so active, and the cool thing is that they're gonna. This is the alpha I give, is that they're gonna be able to do some stuff. We as a network can. I'm just going to say that much. That's going to be really exciting. So stay tuned. Follow the Arch account. And also I did want to say too, if you're a project, if you're just interested in learning more about VC stuff, let's add at DPI Capital in the chat, because they just got their Twitter up. They've been around for a while but haven't been investing in it. And those guys, if you want to like be first to hear about some opportunities to maybe be one of the funded projects through like this accelerated program that we are incubating and we are building, I would definitely follow at DPI Capital on X. So
Nice.
This is them right here.
Yeah, that's them. And as you can see, like they invest in pre-token round crypto deals. So they're looking to fund. We hear all the time like, well, no one will give me that first check, or no one will give me that early funding I need, right? Well, like this is the type of thing. So watch out for DPI Capital. They're doing interesting stuff.
Yeah, really interesting. They're just growing their Twitter here, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, seriously, whenever you do get like a full commit like that. Circling back a little bit to what you said about the winner and people are looking for that. I've always said there needs to be a home base, right? And and let's say that Arch establishes this home base. In my opinion, as time goes on, because I think that there's this interoperability, chain abstractions thing that's happening, and I don't think that's going to stop. But you still need a home base for every ecosystem, right? So what that could do, if Arch is the home base, is people like Odin or some of these L2s can figure out how to work with you guys as the home base, so everything kind of comes out like that, right? Like kind of like this thing. Could you see a future like that?
Absolutely. The cool thing is like everything kind of can work with Arch, right? And that is specifically because it is able to move move assets and change state on the Bitcoin based layer. This isn't an L2. If it was, then you'd have to like move everything into that ecosystem. Here you can kind of like use smart contracts through Arch while still remaining on Bitcoin. And that allows a connectivity layer, right? So I think that's important. I think, we've been thinking a lot about like what makes us different too, because you do see a lot more stuff. When we started like this whole, TSS model and like build like a decentralized multi-sig model and like, be able to like control Bitcoin wallets so that you can actually enable programmability without bridging, like no one was doing this, right? This was a year ago. Like no one was talking about this. Everyone thought it couldn't work. I mean, the giga brain that he was like figured it out. Now we are seeing some models that are similar, but also in key differences. So we see a lot more of the TSS schemes. We see a lot more popularity of that. Odin is an example that you put your money into Odin, and then it does a bunch of things, and you can spit it back out, right? And you can do it, relatively easily with Bitcoin wallets, and that's cool. What's different about us between that model and also like some of the schemes that like Stacks and Botanics all have is that they all still have a like a set validator set, right? So it's not, you can't truly decentralize it. The number of people signing the keys, things like that, like you agree to them, they're kind of, and there's no like decentralized way. Obviously from day one we won't have that because we are gonna have to bootstrap the network and all that, but very quickly, like as soon as we launch the token, we will have a decentralized validator set, which means the question is like, the way I think about it is, if you're staying on Bitcoin, you can either like play in one neighborhood or play in the other. Like, do you want to play in that neighborhood that has like centralized signers that are kind of like still running the show, or do you want to like be able to stay in Bitcoin decentralization, and then when you go to a new neighborhood to like play around, play some basketball, do whatever, like do you want to also be a decentralized environment? Do you want to go from decentralized to decentralized as opposed to decentralized and who the hell knows what's under the hood, right? And that's going to be the key difference, and why so many people are bullish on us is because we are actually doing something much more similar to Bitcoin values rather than some of these other options that are kind of like, all right, so it's on Bitcoin, but it's still, you'll know who's kind of got control of everything, right?
It's exciting stuff.
It that way. Yeah. Was that awkward? Was that weird?
No. I think it's exciting to look forward to this, because you don't necessarily have to like cancel everybody else out because there's this home base, right? You can like people that built like substantial products or like things like that, they can work with home base, and you can be successful together as an ecosystem. And I think having this kind of like this is it and that's it. It goes back to the Bitcoin laser eye mentality. And I think we're away from that. There are black and white lines for sure in terms of like, fundamentals and stuff like that. But as we're seeing, if our industry is going to be the future, which we all believe that, then there's going to be some cohesiveness, and that's a good thing, I think. But you do have to have home bases, in my opinion. And I think Arch has an opportunity to be the home base for the Bitcoin ecosystem
right now, and hopefully Arch can be that for Bitcoiners, right? So super excited about that, for sure.
Yeah, and
for sure.
And Arch is such an opportunity to bring on the Bitcoin community, right? I mean, you guys has already built community here, whether it's Bitmappers, BRC20s, Runes guys, Ordinals people, right? You guys are in a situation where you're not building an L2 on Ethereum where you're just kind of hoping for a copy of something to come over there. You guys are actually building here with assets that are already in the billions of dollars or have been in the billions of dollars, and potentially could easily got a bridge, right? To easily be adapted by a lot of these projects that are building here, and that's your advantage. Your advantage is the community that's already here, and you guys adapting to that community. I guess my next question is like, how are you guys planning to go after the Ordinals community, the BRC20 community, the Runes community, and saying, guys, come here?
Look, as a marketing guy, it'd be easy to say like, we have some like secret plan, or if we just like do this cool flywheel and we create this graphic and suddenly everyone loves us, and like we're gonna be doing all the things in the marketing playbook. But the reality is that the core of it, this is actually a product fit thing, and this is why I joined Arch, just because I was so excited because I saw the clear product market fit. Because I don't think at this, Ordinals people, Runes people, they're so plugged in, man. They're so online. They are watching everything that's going on. They're trying new things. Like these are like top notch, like on the ground running innovators because they're willing to try something as crazy as Bitcoin programmability, right? So like these are like already people, this community, I don't worry so much about like trying to get the message to these people because these people are plugged in. It's other people from other communities that might not know what's happening on Bitcoin. We might still be operating with language from a year or two ago where like nothing, you can't really do anything, whatever. But the Bitcoin community, where I'm trying to lead to here is that if you have a product that solves their core problems, which is the liquidity problem, which is the speed and the UX problem, like, I mean, look, we are so embedded in these communities. We are of the community. We own all these rooms. I'm still holding my pups bag from really high top of the market in November. I've not sold. I don't know if it's because I'm like super bullish and just believe everything's going to come back. I do believe in pups. I do believe in the founders. Or if I'm just like crazy, but like and stubborn. But like either way, like I'm holding on to this stuff. We're all in these communities, so there's that. But at the end of the day, it's also like as simple as, does this help people? Yes. Okay. Well, then they're going to use it, right? And so I'm not worried about attracting the Runes and Wornos community because we're having those conversations and we're doing partnerships and we're already part of the community. But at the same time, like at the end of the day, like if we fix their problems, they're going to want to use us, and that's where we're really focused.
I love it. It's Wayne's World, man. If you build it, they will come, right? It's or I guess back to another movie. That's where
the dreams. Build the dreams. Don't get it.
Wayne's World, man. Wayne's World.
Field of Dreams, Wayne's World. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
But if you build it, they will come. And I truly believe that's definitely Arch, man. And guys, if you guys have time, go check out their Discord. Go join the community here. They got announcements, tweets, everything here. Go check them out on Twitter. Go check them out everywhere. Be a part of something special. What's up? I don't know. Someone. I think she's trying to sell me crypto products or something. I don't know.
That's some Greek mythology right there. I love it. Yeah, I just gotta give you shit. But
no, it's all good. It's okay. I'm married, so that's
okay. There's a reason why the notification is unread for Shizzy.
I don't look at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, but go check these guys out. And Nick, I would love to give you a few more minutes to kind of talk to the community. Let them have it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think in addition to building a real ecosystem, like we talked about a lot of the different stuff we're doing, DPI support, making sure to really engage our products, engage the Runes and Wornos communities. But I'd also say like we're really trying to build the best community for for Rust developers, right? And so you're seeing a lot of that. We've started a new weekly competition. We actually got like, I think 16 submissions or something, which is pretty good for like the first week and like what's a relatively small prize. It's just like a $250 bounty. But we really wanted to see just like who wants to like, mess around and like play with some Rust and like create some stuff with Arch. And, it's been really fun to see people start to participate in that. And we're now in week 2 of that. And I think it's either our pin post or one of the upper posts, but you can check out and see what the bounty is for this week, what people can build. But just so you know, like you're not operating in a vacuum if you participate in that. Like our Discord is still like a small enough tight community that like if you post something, like you will be seen by pretty much everyone on the core team too. 2, if you're doing something on the bounty, like we're actually looking through that and like actually assessing like, oh, this is like really good code. Like we were geeking out over some of the code the other day. We were like, hey, like we need to like see if we can get this guy in a project or have them build something. So 25 developers signed up for week 1. Heck yeah. So I just like big shout out to Caleb, our new head of ecosystem. I know he came on like last week or the week before.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Dude, he's a killer. Big brain guy from Big Brain Ventures, right? And then he's awesome. Brian, our community manager, social media manager, who you saw just now, obviously, like he's a killer. So love the work that they've done on. We made a conscious decision to kind of like shift away from the testnet points program, which had kind of like it's been 6 months. Like we're happy with where it's at. Toward more of a Rust developer friendly ecosystem where it's like that's the first thing you see, and I think it's gone really well, and like Brian said, lots of applicants. So we want to handpick people out of that to go build amazing projects and get rich. So do really fun stuff and get rich.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So definitely encourage people to check that out. And also, I don't know if we had any questions in the chat or anything, but like I'm super happy to answer questions. I don't know if you guys had any more questions for me.
I
You guys are
got
asking
one,
me-
but I don't know if you want to answer it. But so just tell me to F off if it's pushing. But a rumor has it potentially Q2 mainnet launch.
F off, Shizzy. No,
F off, Shizzy. F off, Shizzy. No, it's all good.
Q2, you know, I think is possible still. Yeah, that's kind of what we've been aiming
Incredible.
toward. Here's what I'd say to that. I don't know if this will make you more bullish or less bullish, but I will let people decide for themselves, which is the best way to do marketing and communication. Is just like I'll give you the facts and you decide. But what I will say is we are in security review, and so that should tell you.
That's bullish.
Like,
It's super bullish.
I think it's bullish. Now, I'll also be upfront and say like there's some security reviews that take a year. Like, you know, I don't think that's not going to be the case with us. That's not going to be the case with us. I'm not trying to flood us, but like, you know, I'm trying to let people decide like what that means for them. Yeah. But like the reason why I can't tell you definitively like this date is frankly because it's not in our hands. Now it's in the hands of security review. Outside group, Zelic, if you know them, they're doing the work. So they're doing security review, and then of course, like whatever turns up, because there's always stuff that turns up. Whatever turns up, we're gonna have to go fix that. You know, we don't want to lose anyone's money. So we are, you know, absolutely dedicated to you know, providing a safe, fun, and hopefully lucrative environment for the people who participate in our apps. And so you know, we're going through security review right now. Take that for what it is. You know, if some magic happens and like, you know, they finish their review a week or two from now, then you would expect us to hit mainnet earlier, right? If it takes longer, then it takes longer. But so it's a little bit out of our hands, but we're super bullish. We're super excited.
I love you being honest with that question, right? That's something you could have just been like, yeah, that ain't get me this time, Shizzy. So I really appreciate the honesty and really awesome to actually hear that from you guys, man.
Yeah. Definitely a fair answer for sure. And that's the perfect answer because like it lets people know kind of where they are too. So appreciate you as always, Nick, man. You guys are amazing, you know, at what you do in terms of communication to the ecosystem, the community. You know, there's I could probably count on my hand how many builders of a project this big that does this. So I think the community appreciates it. I know we do for sure, and we can't wait to have you back on next week. Take it easy. You too.
See it. Absolutely amazing as always, man. Go check those guys out, man. Make sure you guys are following them on Discord, on X, and everywhere that you possibly can, man. Really appreciate them taking the time out and really educating our audience, man. 449 people in here right now on X and YouTube. Really, really awesome, guys. Really awesome. This is a project you guys, I mean, getting into this now is like getting into Solana 4 years ago, right? I mean, 5 years ago. So this is something super early, but if you guys can take advantage of it, I mean, you saw Solana do a 10,000x. So who knows? Who knows, right?
Exactly. And the confidence booster is DPI really just you know, shoving their chips in here, and the incubator program.
Yeah, well, that too. I love the fact that he basically said like that's their multi-chain capital, right? Like multi-chain capital is David Sachs, right? Mm-hmm. Like so, like that's a big statement from Arch, man.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense. You know, you see like some big funds do it, Draper University. You see like other stuff like that, and this is kind of the start of the Arch version of that. So we'll see who else kind of jumps on board as well. But amazing show. We got anything else to kind of finish it off with, or is that it?
That's it, really. I don't have anything good. We get some stuff to say for tomorrow, but yeah.
Perfect. Guys, 456 of you guys are crushing it for us. We thank you so much. And thank the Arch community as well. I know some of you guys are definitely in here as well. Shout out to y'all. And just keep hanging out with us. Learn every day as much as you can. You know, I promise there will be brighter days, consistent brighter days that will come. But yeah. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Without y'all, we couldn't do it. And we want to let you guys know how much we appreciate y'all. And also our partners, we appreciate them, of course. If you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. Emblem Vault is the interoperability tooling for bridging and jumping ordinals from Bitcoin Layer 1 to possibly Arch one day, maybe. But, you know, you can do it to Merlin Chain. You could do it to Base. You could do it to Abstract, eventually Solana as well. And you're going to be able to use their AI agent hustle to help you vault those ordinals in the near future as well. And he's going to be able to help you trade on a Bitcoin and currently Solana. You can do so. And don't forget about their TGE in September with their Runes token. You can participate in a pre-sale environment on OpenSea right now. If you search Emblem Founder Vault Keys, you can actually purchase them. They're a ERC 721. It is an NFT for now, but once the TGE happens in September, you will be able to get your Bitcoin runes into your Bitcoin wallet with instructions from them. You can learn all about this at emblem.vision. And BetBTC is the predictions marketplace of the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is a Bitcoin wallet, some Bitcoin, and 6 Bitcoin blocks for now. That could shorten in the future. But then you can place bets on their markets, like their Blitz markets, which is kind of longing and shorting Bitcoin, BNB, or Solana. You can choose. You get 10 minutes. I recommend letting that clock roll down all the way to the end. But you lock in your price if you think it's going to go up or down from there. And then additional 10 minutes to see if you're right. So make sure you're checking out betbtc.win to learn more about that process. In Artura Finance, the perps and leverage decks of the Bitcoin ecosystem, they're going to be launching on Bitcoin Layer 2 Hemi, which is backed by Binance Labs. So pretty big date coming up for them for their launch. You're going to be able to trade synthetic Bitcoin fungibles like Ordi, Sats, Doggo to the Moon, and much more as well. And you're going to be able to trade stuff outside of the ecosystem like XRP, Tau, Ethereum, stuff like that. It's going to be a fun time once they do go live on mainnet, but you can also participate, outside of trading by providing liquidity in their liquidity vaults, earn passively. Learn more at artura.finance. And Fluid tokens, the first to offer staking to retail users on Bitcoin Layer 1. If you are a founder of an ordinal collection or you etched a rune with an established community, you can head over to their Discord to learn on how to get a staking vault set up for your community. They are also building the bridge between Cardano and Bitcoin, and they have their rune that's going to be launching very soon, and you're going to be able to bridge back and forth with that. Super cool stuff. These guys are building huge things, but really learn more about them by joining their community on their Discord. That's the biggest thing. They have people there all the time to answer questions. Learn more at fluidtokens.com. So super exciting stuff from them. And Merlin Chain, your number one scaling solution for Bitcoin native L1 assets and protocols. If you are a builder and want your protocol to be a bit more flexible, you can build on Merlin Chain. Reach out to their team. They have great builder support there. And you can participate on securing the chain by staking your Merlin token or your Bitcoin token. Very soon, they're going to add that. But for Merlin, you can earn 15% APR. So exciting stuff there. And lastly, our integrated partners. And Foxy AI building the metaverse on Bitcoin called the Bitverse, and the first-person shooter game called Cypher Striker, which we typically live stream every Tuesday, but we're going to start picking that back up very soon. We will let you know once we do that. And Ordinal Hive is your aggregator ordinal marketplace for Bitcoin Layer 1 and Layer 2. Cheapest ordinals around will be on Ordinal Hive, and amazing trader tools as well. So make sure you're checking them out. And thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man, as always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io, that is our website. We got some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. It will get them started and code up to where we are today. If you guys are in need of a VPN, we have the number one VPN that I use, which is Nord. Definitely highly recommend you guys getting VPN. There is some free ones out there. Guys, don't be going to these websites, especially crypto websites, with your IP out, guys. When you go to these sites, they know exactly where you are. I know you guys signed into Yahoo and Google, and then it'll send you an email saying, hey, this person from this place signed in. For me, it's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, damn, every time I should have my VPN on. I want to see the Czech Republic or something when I sign into stuff, because I think I highly recommend everyone get a VPN, use Nord. It's $3 a month for Nord. I know some people say it's expensive, but if you don't go through ours, it's $10. So get our coupon here, click that $3 a month. I think I paid $36 for the year. Set it, forget it, and then pay it next year. So check that out. If you guys are going to Bitcoin 2025 Las Vegas, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. But do not wait till May to get your tickets. Get them as soon as possible. Get them in April. And use our link here, guys. The cheapest prices today. They seem to go up every Friday. I'm a little worried about tomorrow's price. So if you are interested in going, buy your tickets today. Supply and demand, guys. Supply and demand. There's the demand goes up, the supply gets lower, the price goes up. So definitely check that out. And if you guys need merch for anywhere, really, for any event, or just kind of lounge around the house, we have updated our site. and we're going to be adding new stuff every single day. If you guys want us to add something, please reach out to us, guys. We can pretty much add anything. If you have a PFP, and it's not even an ordinal, whatever, it doesn't matter. We can add anything for you guys. We can put it on jackets, hats, whatever. Or if you're a project out there and you're like, yo, I want to use your site to launch my merch, we can do everything for you. We use a third party. We use Shopify. We can split the commissions. Let us know. We can pretty much do anything with the store. We're really trying to push the store in the upcoming months. So let us know how you guys can help and how we can help you as well. So I really appreciate you guys taking that time out. And we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction.